got idea, man. You take me.
And welcome to this week's edition of Twin Peaks Unwrapped. I'm your host, Brian Kosowski, and beside me, as always, is...
Ben Durant.
Hello, Ben.
Hello, Brian.
How are you?
Good.
Good. It's like we didn't say a word to each other until we walked into this recording studio, and that's it.
Oh yeah, right.
I'm ruining the magic.
The magic.
We don't say a word to each other.
Sometimes I don't know if we're ever gonna get. Sometimes I don't know if we're ever gonna get a show done because we spend so much time talking before the show, and I'm like, why are we not recording this? And so,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I know we do. I was being facetious. We do a lot of talking.
I know you were. I know.
I know you were. I don't know if the audience knows, but we do spend a good portion talking, and then we're like, oh wait, we have to do a show.
Or at least we should be recording what we're talking about.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
From now on, we should. We could be like a bloopers episode.
Right.
Or behind the curtain of
good.
Twin Peaks Unwrapped.
Yeah, we could talk about how when we do interviews, how long does it take me to try to work the phone?
That would be comical.
So this is episode 18.
Yes, episode 18. This is sort of like that last episode was that transition episode. I mentioned how you could have cut to black after saying goodbye to Lucy, and then all of a sudden the show picks up. And I really feel this show feels different.
Yeah.
The Leland, no more Leland, no more Palmers. It just feels like a different show almost.
Yeah.
With familiar characters.
Right. So I should have asked you in the last episode. So you watched that episode with Leland dying, and Cooper is saying in the woods, what's happened to Bob now? Where did you think the show was going to go after that? Like, what, in your imagination, before you saw episode 17, where did you think the show would go?
Because the supernatural and the mystery, I thought Cooper would stay on the rest of the show looking for Bob.
Yeah.
Because Bob is a figure. And we know that, we've talked about the duality, but in this show, it's depicted as Bob exists outside of Leland. Mm-hmm. And Bob left. And they would be like, where did he go? We need to find him. We need to capture him. Or we need to figure out what to do with him.
Right.
That's where I kind of thought it would go.
Right. And it didn't go in that direction.
No, it didn't.
And it's funny because I think like in the Hayward home after the funeral, the reception, I think Cooper says something like he's gone forever, like that Bob or something like that.
But he doesn't know that.
He doesn't know that. Maybe he's just trying to comfort her. But I was kind of like... Yeah, I mean, they almost forgot the whole episode. They barely talked about it. Cooper mentions Bob at the campfire with Major Briggs, but it's pretty much... Yeah, it's pretty much kind of like, okay, we have all this big stuff happening, and now we're back to a regular show. And
they gave you all new writers came in or something.
I mean, how do you top that too? Though, how do you top the Leland's death and everything that happened, or even Maddie's killing? I mean, there was a few episodes that was just bam, 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 and then to go and say, okay, we're doing a new mystery. They can't have I think every episode can't be, something like that. So
it's like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And that was like the huge fall. And then all of a sudden now you're like, when's the next big, fall? And we're going to scream and yell. Right.
Yeah,
and we're
but
like,
you're not going to get that fall until you actually have to first go up and
exactly. And it's going to be a long build, I'm assuming, a nice long burn.
Right.
So.
And I think I've said before, sometimes it's too bad shows can't do what they can do today. Like today, we don't have to do 22 episodes. We have plenty of shows that can do 10 episodes, 8. I mean, there's shows that don't even do 10 episodes, 8 episodes. And if they could have done what they did with the first season, where there was like 7 episodes,
perfect.
It would have ended with the whole Leland dying, and then they could start season 3, and then we can kind of get the new mystery going on. But it's a lot to ask a show like this to do 22 shows,
especially when your showrunners are doing other things. Like, not showrunners, but
some of the original creators. Mark Frost is now at this time working on a movie. It's not clear what David Lynch is doing, because a lot of times they would say it's Wild at Heart, but he actually was filming Wild at Heart during the first season. So I'm still not clear exactly what David Lynch is. I mean, David Lynch is here. He shows up in
this episode.
In this episode, at least his voice does. So he is a presence from time to time. But yeah, we do have new showrunners. I mean, and I mean, or at least not sure. There's other people kind of taking over. I mean, Harley Payton is working on it. Bob Engels, they're the executive producers on this. So I mean, I don't want to be a downer on this. I love this show. I think some of the great things they did with the mythology. I love this whole idea of the White Lodge. And and this mystery in the woods, and
giving us some new mysteries to latch on to.
So this is episode 18. It was written by Barry Pullman, directed by Dwayne Dunham, and Dwayne Dunham was the one that did the first episode, not the pilot, but the first episode. He was the editor for, I believe he's the editor for the pilot, or he edited, And so it's interesting to see he's directing again. It aired on December 15th, 1990. The rating is 7.9, and it placed 67 for the week.
60. Well, that's...
I think it was 65 the week before.
I thought it was 74.
Or 74.
Or 70 something.
Okay, so maybe,
we went up.
Yeah.
You know why? They're like, oh, they found out the killer? Maybe something else will happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I always have trouble. I mean, we don't need to get into this too much. I always have trouble with the whole Nelsons or Nielsen's and stuff.
Nielsen ratings,
because you only have a select group, and are you getting? I mean, I think
it's not a true
the
rating.
Young people were really into this show, and I think there was a huge following, and you don't get I
agree. When I was younger, I got onto the weird shows, and the weird shows never. I mean, X-Files got to hang around for a very long time.
Can you believe it? I mean, sometimes you look back and say, wow, that show was able to last 9 seasons and stuff. And it's actually amazing that show. I mean, it was on Fridays and it went to Sundays, and they did a lot to that show, and somehow it was able to keep going and stuff.
It kept it. But you're right. Yeah, I think that the audience who had Nielsen rating boxes probably weren't the people that it was aimed for.
Yeah.
Or the people that were being attracted to it.
Right.
You know, maybe they didn't know who their audience was going to be, but then I think that audience came to the show and loved it and embraced it.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't the mainstream audience. I mean, I think it had that appeal over that summer, like, who's the killer? And everybody's talking about it. That water cooler the next day.
Yeah, and we're on Saturdays now. This show is on Saturdays, so also you can't... It's it's a show. I think at some point I'll tell you that I missed one episode during the whole airing.
That must have killed you.
It killed me, and it's not like I can go to internet and find a place to get the episode or something like that. I had to wait for it to come out on VHS to find that one. Like to me, it was like the missing episode and stuff.
The missing pieces.
I think I was at a school dance or something. I went to a school dance, and that's why I missed the episode. But it was one of these things where sometimes it was preempted, and we'll get to a point where the Gulf War, the first Gulf War happens, and the show is postponed a few times.
So you gave up Twin Peaks for a school dance, Ben?
I don't know what happened. Maybe I was forced to it. Maybe I was at gunpoint and had to go to the dance.
You must go to this dance.
No, I really think I want to believe what happened was I didn't know it was on. I don't know what happened.
I want to believe that. Let's believe that. Let's believe that you didn't know it was going to be on.
TV Guide told me something wrng or something. He didn't tell me it was going to be on. So let's get into this episode. So it starts off with James Hurley on his bike, and why don't we play just literally like a 1 second just to get a sense.
It's the classic music.
Yes, and then I remember. I mean, I don't love this at all. I don't.
Okay, so Twin Peaks has gone back to the music where it represents a certain person, and you hear this music when you see Nadine.
Yes.
And you hear this music with James. It's kind of James is the James Dean. He's too cool.
Right.
He's driving by himself. He's on his bike. He's just going where the road takes him.
It's strange though to be. You're right. It's for both of these characters. This music comes in, and it's kind of strange. Like, maybe it makes more sense for him than Nadine, or I don't know. But
it's like 1950s rockabilly feel to it,
and it doesn't go anywhere. You just see him on his bike. I guess you're just establishing that he's he's kind of off finding himself or something.
And before we dive into more of this, I just want to mention the Log Lady. The Log Lady before...
This is the Log Lady intros before the episode.
Yep. She mentions chess and art metaphor, which David Lynch is an artist.
He is.
Which is interesting. If I didn't know that about him, I would have not thought about that. They talk about chess, how to make your move in life, and then they use art as a metaphor. And then about setting oneself up for the next move in life. Like you're setting yourself... You ever hear that expression, setting yourself up for success?
Yeah.
That's what I thought about. And then she ends up with this really bad joke. She goes, a kid in high school... a kid in high school doesn't like high school because it's the principal of it or something. It was so cheesy. It was like, now
don't talk bad about it. This is David Lynch who wrote this script.
I know.
And he directed every Log Lady intro. But,
and but it was cool. It was cool. So, you think about people are setting themselves up in life for the next move. And just like last episode, it was sort of about, putting yourself, making these connections, moving life, like make it simple.
Right.
You're doing stupid things, you're going to make your life complicated.
Yeah.
So it's kind of going this pattern.
And it's interesting. I mean, I definitely am seeing this with Cooper. I mean, Cooper is kind of like, he's in a place where like he's trying to find himself.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like he's been, he's like right now he's suspended from the FBI. So in a way he's like, I think he's probably wrestling with, do I want to still be an FBI agent or like
What's my next move in life?
Yep. So the scene we're now in is Mrs. Briggs, Betty Briggs is talking to, I believe, Cooper and Harry about Major Briggs, and they're trying to find out why he's been gone missing. Do you want to bring up some audio?
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, he does this a lot.
That's hard to say. So, Betty, you're saying this behavior is part of the way the Major operates?
That he just kind of goes missing.
Let me ask you this. Did he leave suddenly?
Yes, he did. We were speaking philosophically, and I left the campsite to answer the call of nature. When I returned, he was gone.
The fact that you were in the woods is very significant.
Yeah, and say why, and that's she then goes on to say that he obsesses about the woods and stuff.
And I feel like the Log Lady would have an answer, right?
For this, why
where he went or why he disappeared.
Maybe, yeah.
Because it's the whole woods, and she lives in the woods, and she knows what the log and
right.
Yeah, I kind of feel like if they went to the Log Lady, I wonder if she would have an answer. And the Log Lady's log wanted Major Briggs to know information.
It's true. She has. She did say deliver the message when he had that printout of the owls are not what they seem.
Yeah.
Cooper.
So I kind of feel like
I think you're right. I totally think that if they went to see the Log Lady, she might have some cryptic, some messages for her and stuff.
Yeah.
For Cooper and. Yeah, so I mean, it's intriguing though to see that Major Briggs definitely, he's definitely, whether it be part of his work, that something to do with the woods. Like maybe he seems to be investigating it, and that he's gone missing before. And what it's hard to say is he gone missing in the same scenario that there's a white light? Like it goes back to what we're talking about. Is it alien abductions and stuff? But
the hooded owl figure,
maybe.
And then Gordon is back. David Lynch is back as Gordon.
Yes.
Over the intercom.
And he's giving him his full support.
Yep. Oh, there's a wedding, which is a side note about the wedding with the mayor's. Is it the mayor or the mayor's brother?
It's the mayor's brother. Yeah. And that brother is marrying a very young woman and stuff.
Yes, a gold digger.
I think this is his 5th wedding and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to bring up some Gordon Cole?
Distance. I hope I didn't cut it off.
Temp. Lucy's helping out with the Milford wedding.
Coop, where are we? This is Gordon Cole calling from Bend, Oregon.
How you doing, Gordon?
Coop, I just called to say that you have my full support in this investigation business. These are hard times, but we get through them.
Thank you, Gordon.
It ranks poor with me, too. Now, Coop, is any of this true? Double homicide? Stolen drugs? Storming a whorehouse?
It's all a bunch of hogwash.
And I have to tell you, the Drug Enforcement Agency's starting to nose around. They're sending down a top dog to investigate the drug angle.
Who are they sending?
It's Gordon. It's Gordon Cole.
Who's the agent?
Oh, Dennis Bryson.
It's Bryson. He's a good man, Harry. No nonsense.
Don't let him rattle you, Coop. These guys make a living looking through other people's drawers. We've all had our socks tossed around from time to time. Couple of words of advice. Let a smile be your umbrella.
So that whole let your smile be in your umbrella is not in the script, and I think Lynch probably ad-libbed that part, which I love that, the whole idea of let your smile be your umbrella, that, you can get through hard times.
And Cooper does not look, I like the old Apple.
I didn't even know, I don't think I noticed it until we just saw that was an Apple computer. That's
Apple
funny.
word processor.
Wow, FBI using Apple, yeah.
Even back then, Apple was getting high praise.
Yeah. So Cooper is now going back before Roger and basically Cooper's not going to defend himself. He thinks that it'll all work out.
It's the duality comes back into play, that Andy is using kindness to get Lucy back with Dick, and now you have Cooper using the fact that he's not going to fight, and
in a way that he thinks that he believes that by his merits and he's already a good person, that somehow that will shine through this nonsense or this stuff that and
the guy says, how come you're not standing up for yourself,
right?
You're not even trying, and I think Cooper's just like, well,
I mean, I always kind of think that, like he just feels that it's going to work itself out.
Yeah.
We can bring up some.
So, I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. And I've started to focus out beyond the edge of the board. At a bigger game.
What game?
The sound wind makes through the pines.
That's the sense of animals, what we fear in the dark, and what lies beyond the darkness. It's almost like
he's reflecting on himself. It's like the inner. He's kind of like looking deep within himself to say, who am I as a person?
He's an owl.
I don't think he's scared. No,
but he's looking the world with love.
Yeah,
seeing beyond fear with love.
And that's what that was. Yeah, we were talking about that in the script last week.
Yep.
That fear and love. And that, like he feels.
That's what I got. Or Bob is in him, and Bob's talking. I don't know which. Well,
Bob is love.
Bob is love. I don't know. But
all we need is love.
Yeah, John Lennon went into the body of Cooper.
It's almost like he's going through a midlife crisis in some ways, and that but I mean, really, he's kind of looking at things, and really, when he's talking about that win, to me, he's saying, "I'm seeing how wonderful this town is, and I value this, and I value this maybe even more, possibly more than the FBI. I value this." And then as he leaves, he looks at his gun and his badge again, and again, it's almost like he's kind of he looks at it for a good second or two, and kind of like, is this what I even want?
Yeah. And then we go back to Nadine, which we don't need to discuss the fact that Nadine is fancying Mike. She likes Mike.
I always told you Mike would come back.
Yeah, and Mike does not want anything to do with Nadine, and Donna is basically like, she asked permission from Donna. Hey, are you seeing Mike still? No. Well, how can you date Mike if you're with Ed? Well, Mike's at school and Big Ed's at home and Ed doesn't go out and he acts like my father and Mike's here and he's fun and cool. And that's, 90210 Saved by the Bell Twin Peaks edition. It's really, I mean,
and she's basically asking Donna for permission to date Mike and stuff, even though Mike doesn't know it. And
and he doesn't want to date someone that looks like his mom. Yeah.
Does his mom wear a patch?
Or a woman who wears a patch in high school. Oh. But I have to say, this makes Nadine's character more likable of her being in high school. Like, she seems not as crazy. It's weird. When she was crazy, I didn't like her, but now she's even crazier. But I seem to like her character more.
But she's crazy, but she's like a young kid. Maybe that's why we can accept it a little bit more, because she's playing a younger character, and how, in a way, she's innocent. She's just an innocent, high school student who wants to date a football player.
Yep. And likes to throw people.
So, I'm going to go back and just mention there was some other unseen script dialogue of Cooper. And I think he was talking with Harry. And he says, "Harry, 9 years ago I joined the Bureau because I felt it was the strongest statement I could make about the man. I wanted to become and the world I wanted to live in. And now, suddenly all of that brushed aside. I have absolutely no responsibilities, nothing to do, and it feels fantastic. So, I mean, again, this is not canon, but he seems to be saying in the script that in a way there's kind of a it's kind of a great weight lifted that he's like, he doesn't have this responsibility of being an FBI agent, that he can do whatever he wants now, and whether that means, he goes somewhere else and does something, or if he stays in Twin Peaks. But
that's cool. The whole James
has left Twin Peaks.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of this side story.
Yeah.
The woman, she looks like she's preying on this high school student, and he's getting a beer. He's got to be 18,
right?
Because at the time, I think drinking age was 18. And
1990, you think so? I don't know.
Yeah, I think 18 used to be the drinking age.
Huh?
Because they didn't change that till later on to 21.
Interesting.
Yeah, I believe so.
I don't remember that because I was 15, so maybe by the time I was 18, they changed it, or I don't know. Because I know I couldn't drink till I was 21, but that would have been, it would have been another 6 years. So but in
1990, the drinking age must have been 18 because all these kids seemed to drink. Because Bobby was at the bar. Right. Bobby was at a bar drinking beer.
I think they drink soda, I think.
It's not soda, it's a beer.
All right.
And so
here's the thing. The thing. I think they're trying to do something different with this character, and in some ways maybe have him still trying to deal with the loss of his girlfriend, Laura Palmer.
By having an affair with a married woman.
Who's blonde and stuff. But
it looks like Laura.
Maybe. But I think my issue is that why are we telling stories that are not in Twin Peaks? The show is called Twin Peaks, and he leaves the town to do other things. But
maybe they were going to give him a spin-off like Joey and Friends. It's going to be like the other Twin Peaks.
You kid around, but I think there was actually a discussion about possibly doing that.
Where James is off on his own.
I don't know.
On the road with James. What's his last name?
He's James. How can Nadine and Ed. I can't believe
you blanked. It's fine. But it's fine. But
Hurley, of course, Hurley, James Hurley.
So it could just be called James Hurley, and that'd be it. James, like Joey,
Joey,
James.
Yeah, James.
Yeah.
Oh man,
and a very special episode of James. I don't know.
You could have special guests with Nadine comes to visit and stuff.
Yeah. People from Twin Peaks.
That's my aunt.
Yeah, you could do back to back. James show first, Twin Peaks second.
Oh no, we got to get off this topic. This is just
the
worst. What's happening?
It is the worst. I personally think it's the worst side plot. He's so wooden, and she basically just wants to have an affair.
And so, I think what they were trying to do with that, though, was that you had this, film noir character, this woman, and, we'll get into it, but I think that I definitely see what they were getting at, and I just never connected, because I always want to just go back to Twin Peaks. I want to, if I could, have the whole show be Cooper, but you can't have
too much of a good thing.
You can't have too much of a good thing. You couldn't have Kyle MacLachlan trying to do the entire show. You need to have other characters, but so then we go to the sheriff's station, and we have Dick.
Andy. Okay, Andy, Dick, and Little Nicky. Going for a multi. That's what I wrote. Andy, Dick, and Little Nicky going for a multi.
Right. So Little Dick. I just
Little Dick. He's not Little Dick. It's Little Nicky. Little Nicky.
Sorry. So I think Dick has basically, I don't know if he's like a big brother or he's an orphan. He's not his kid, but he's kind of like he's renting him out, or I don't.
Because he wants to make it look like he knows how to handle a child in front of Lucy. Look I can be a good boy I can be a good dad.
Right.
And I like how the kid's like, I want a multi. They call it a multi. I've heard it called a malt.
Yes.
A chocolate malt, but they call it a multi. And they fight, and basically Andy's like, yeah, we'll go. Then the three of them go, and they have a slapstick comedy fest, which is pretty funny.
Yes. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's the other side plot. Lucy's helping with the wedding. But I like to see...
there's just another unseen thing that it's not that great, but in the script, Cooper's drinking coffee and he spits it out, because he realized, and I think they say some kind of joke like temp. So it was basically the temp was making coffee and didn't know how to make coffee for
it tastes
Cooper
gross.
and stuff. But it made me think of like to go back all the way to episode 2 where he was spitting out coffee. It's hot and stuff. So I wonder if they purposely this is not in the show, but I wonder if they wrote it because thinking about how he spits coffee before and to just make that connection that Lucy's important and she makes good coffee. Yeah.
And they haven't had a real coffee or pie reference in a while.
Yeah, I guess not.
Diane.
Right. Yeah, and Diane's
those...
coming up. I think she's in. I think briefly.
Briefly.
Yeah.
But those 3 things we've kind of lost. But this is the most important part of this episode, I believe. We learn about the Black Lodge, and we learn more about the White Lodge.
Yes.
And is it Hawk?
Yep, Hawk.
Hawk tells them, because he is Indian, Native American, not Indian, Native American, and he tells them about the mythology of the White Lodge and the Black Lodge, which I thought was really cool. I was like,
cool.
Oh, this is something I'm really excited to hear more about.
And I want to have audio of that because it's so good.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh wait, I think you got it.
I did have
but
it.
But you keep rewinding it.
I know. I can't help myself. Why don't we just play it?
All right.
Figure a way to get you cleared.
Well, Harry, the giant said a path is formed by laying one stone at a time.
And the giant is brought up too,
which is nice.
Yeah,
Have either of you fellas heard of a place called the White Lodge?
Where'd you hear of it?
Well, it was the last thing Major Briggs said to me before he disappeared.
Cooper, you may be fearless in this world, but there are other worlds.
Tell me more.
My people believe that the White Lodge is a place where the spirits that rule man and nature here reside.
It's a local legend. Goes way back.
There is also a legend of a place called the Black Lodge, the shadow self of the White Lodge. The legend says that every spirit must pass through there on the way to perfection. There, you will meet your own shadow self. My people call it the Dweller on the Threshold.
The Dweller on the Threshold.
But it is said, if you can...
Yeah,
So in Perfect Courage...
utterly annihilate your soul.
Cool.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was it kind of felt like almost this like purgatory to heaven sort of feel correlation. If I had to use some sort of thing I was familiar with,
right?
A purgatory. And it's interesting that this whole White Lodge, Black Lodge is brought up now, because of the whole spirit of Bob. And they had a good conversation outside about, but it was more about what bad men would do and blah, blah, blah. But it's interesting because would Bob's spirit just be a lost spirit that's just, he can't clear through that Black Lodge because he's a bad spirit? I don't know if it has any correlation or not.
No, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, and so there was some more stuff in the script. I honestly love this. Everything Hawk said was perfect, and it's memorable, and I wouldn't change a thing. But I'll share with you the script, where Hawk says in the script, there's also a legend of a place called the Black Lodge, the shadow self of the White Lodge, a place of dark forces that pull on pull on this world. A world of nightmares, shamans reduced to crying children, angry spirits pouring from the woods, graves opening like flowers. I mean, I think it's just. Like I said, Hawks is better, but here I think it's trying to say there's a sinister, there is this evil, there's
like Bob,
just like Bob. So I think it's interesting in the script. It seems to be making it clear, maybe a clearer connection of evil, possibly Bob, and I don't know if it's not as clear. I think in the TV show, but I think I also love that shadow self terminology, and there's some really interesting things that Hawk says that you can. I think they will revisit in the future and stuff.
And like, if you want to make a connection to Leland, Bob was Leland's shadow self. You know, Leland was the good,
right?
And then Bob was the bad.
Yeah.
And then when Bob came out of Leland, which was the good, it moved on. But it's gonna move on to something else because it's bad. Yeah. And Leland went to a white light, and Major Briggs went to a white light. So. Yes.
Could the white light be White Lodge, maybe?
Exactly. Maybe he's going to the White Lodge. But if Major Briggs does this a lot, maybe he has some sort of connection between these parallel worlds where he just goes there.
Yeah.
And what was that figure waiting for him? And, there's a lot more questions than answers, but I guess if I had to put this all together, that's what I would think. Maybe he went to the White Lodge.
Maybe. Or who knows? I mean, right?
Yeah,
But I mean, and we go back to the abductions, and there's a lot of questions, but it's fascinating. So then we are now. You've been asking me. You've said you've heard that David Duchovny was going to be on the show. It's now episode 18, and he shows up. What was your first reaction? You're waiting for him, and he opens the door, and there's David Duchovny.
Well. First, let me say this. When I was younger, in a store, and I heard about Twin Peaks, and I was a huge X-Files fan.
Yeah.
And the reason I wanted to watch Twin Peaks, I knew nothing about it. None of my friends watched it. All I heard was Dave Duchovny was in it, but he was in drag.
Oh, so you did know it? You did know it
when I was in school. That's the only thing I knew about Twin Peaks.
Oh, yeah.
I knew there was mountains that were Twin Peaks. And I knew Dave Duchovny was in the show in drag.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at a VHS of an episode or whatever, how many episodes were in it. I don't even remember. Right. But I remember, oh God, it was very expensive. It was like $25, almost $30 for a VHS that had so many episodes.
Oh gosh, I had to pay over $100 for like 7 episodes.
Oh,
for 7 episodes. Like I know we talk about the prices, but yeah, it was over. I think it might have been $150 for VHS of just first. It was ridiculous.
So now you have it easy. Everything's under $20.
Yeah,
majority.
Well, even I don't mean to cut you off, but did you collect X-Files when it first came out on DVD?
On VHS.
On VHS.
Yes.
And those are crazy prices too.
And there was 2 episodes per cassette tape, and I think they're like $20-$25. And you had 2 episodes.
Right. But I remember when they came out on DVD, X-Files, it was like
huge.
It was I think it was $150, and I paid for it.
I remember you bought it. We knew each other when you did that. I remember that, and I was like, but now I think they want to release it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hearing for years that they're going to do that. I keep thinking I feel like
and you can watch it all on Netflix for $10 a month.
Right.
So I mean,
and they're now putting that in. They have at least some of the episodes in HD now on Netflix. So yeah, that's cool.
So that's how I know about the show is because of this man, David Duchovny.
David Duchovny. And so you see this now. He is in drag. I mean,
he looks good as a woman.
We were talking before we started recording this show.
Yeah.
Transgender.
Yes, we were trying to make sure we were correct in all this, and I think I forgot it all. No. No, I remember. He is
right. The thing I think. Well, here's the thing: is like so in this scene, he comes in and he introduces himself
as Denise.
But then there's question whether he's hitting on the sheriff or is he like does he like them up? Does he like them and like I mean does he like guys and stuff? And so I think off the air we were talking about like is he gay? Is he
a cross-dresser or transgender?
Transgender. Now as a child, I was 15. I probably thought he was gay, right? I may have thought he was a cross-dresser and stuff. As I'm older, and in the next episode, there's definitely some dialogue that makes me think he is a transgendered that likes girls, and it's possible he likes both. Maybe he likes boys and girls. It's interesting when we get the next episode that we talk about.
But I mean, he's dressed as a woman, but he wants to be called Denise.
Yes,
and he's acting very feminine.
Yep.
So that's the transgender.
Right, and not too feminine. Like he's not over. I don't feel like he's overplaying this character.
But he's talking more highly.
But he's not. I mean,
it's not in your face.
Right.
Like he's playing a character.
Right.
Denise.
Well, I feel like Twin Peaks or the people who made Twin Peaks are kind of ahead of their times.
Oh yeah.
Because like Hawk is uncomfortable with her. Like, he won't even shake her hand. But at the same time, I feel like they respect her. And Cooper definitely seems to be like, hey, I'll go with the flow. And this is who you are now. And like, wow, I think that's awesome. I mean, I think that they're still uncomfortable, but they also they seem to accept her for who she is.
Yeah, nobody said anything derogatory or made a joke at his expense.
Right.
Yeah.
I know they kind of walk the line, and at times, but I thought they did a good job with it.
This is very ahead of its time.
Yeah.
For something like this, 1990. But yeah, it was so. I was taken back by his hair. I'm like, oh my god! But I'm like, wow.
And this, I think we said this is, of course, before X-Files. X-Files wasn't until '93, and I think he would say that. I think David Duchovny would say this was probably one of his first jobs. Like, this is his first job. I think he did like TV commercials, but I think like this is his first real like TV gig and stuff.
Yeah, and Hawk just got this like crazy look on his face.
Yeah. But I love the Denise is like, she puts out the hand and she drops it in a way like, hey, you don't want to shake my hand? Fine, that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think that's cool. Not in a mean way or anything. It's just like, hey, whatever, I'm cool.
Yeah. But like Dave Duchovny, he looks good in drag.
Yeah, he does.
So just seems so young.
Yeah.
He looks so young.
And I think I can say this. I think he wouldn't mind coming back for the new series of Twin Peaks. And
I mean, doing X-Files and Twin Peaks.
Keep him as Denise. Although, for years, for probably 20 years, people have talked about like, wouldn't that be cool if we could have X-Files and Twin Peaks crossover? I mean, because they have similarities in that the supernatural. You have this like. We're talking about maybe UFOs, abduction ideas, and I think they totally could do.
It would be really cool.
I mean, it never happened, but it was, it would be good fan fiction. Good fan fiction.
Yeah. So basically, we find out that Dennis, aka Denise, is the one that's going to be looking into the whole drug thing.
Yes, he works for the DEA. The Drug Enforcement Agency.
And. Like, I kind of feel like, Denise is on Cooper's side. Like, we're going to help you. We're going to get you through this. And, I feel like I can't, like, she can't, what's the word? Like, they're close. So she's like, I got to, from afar, I can help you get through this. Like, I can't.
Well, it's funny. I mean, there will be a scene later on in this episode at the bar where she says, I forgot. Well, we'll get there, but she kind of says that she's trying to get more in touch with her feelings, and I feel like she's willing to skirt the line, or she's willing to. Maybe this isn't the right procedure to do things, but you are my friend. I think they are friends.
Yes.
I mean, they're colleagues. They work together, and so she might be willing to help in any way she can without really
helping. Without getting her hands dirty.
Yeah,
because then it would be compromised.
Right,
and then. They touch upon Nadine's going to be trying with the wrestling team because she's trying to show up for the mic by lifting all the weight with her legs. Oh, and he's like, you want to try wrestling? And oh, man.
600 pounds. She can lift 600 pounds.
Yeah.
She is a superhero.
I know. She really is. Nadine should be on the Avengers.
Yeah.
She's the Incredible Hulk.
I will say this actress does a great job though as Nadine, and she's fun and I enjoy it.
It's kind of innuendo-ish.
Yes. Oh yes. Yeah. Right. Pumping iron there with her feet. Yeah. For sure. And the way they're crossed. I mean, they're looking at each other, but it's like it definitely is an innuendo there.
And then the guy is
the coach there. The coach. Hey, you can lift a lot of weight here.
Yeah. So that's basically Nadine. And then we go back to in my notes I put it the Three Stooges cartoon with Andy, Dick, and Little Nicky. But there's a quick scene with
Josie and Harry.
Basically Harry's all happy that Josie's back. Josie explains to Harry who everybody was. And she sounds honest. It sounds to be a legit story. Like that was her husband. Her husband sent her. Was her husband the guy? No, that was a henchman.
Right. Jonathan was the
husband.
No, Jonathan was just the
henchman guy.
Yeah, henchman guy.
But he was still kind of very controlling.
Oh yeah. Right.
But she kind of comes clean. And is very happy to be back.
I think she's definitely sharing more information than she's ever has, and says he's asking her for the truth, and she's sort of giving the truth. So you want to bring up? Yeah, I used to work for a man in Hong Kong.
His name is Thomas Eckhart. He helped me. took me off the streets when I was 16. When you're from a poor family, sometimes they sell their female children. I was lucky. Taught me about life, about business. He was my father, my master, my lover. My night.
Yeah.
And then she met Andrew Packard, and yeah. And he was afraid for his life.
Yeah, so
here's the thing, too. I mean, I don't know if this is an appropriate time to talk about it, but it's interesting that we go back to the Secret Diary of Laura Palmer. And there, I think Laura seemed to say that Josie was a prostitute, which actually never came up in the show. And maybe we're hinting at it we're hinting at maybe through when Jonathan was there and he did seem to take advantage of her.
He raped her.
He raped her. Yeah. And then she's talking about this other business association where he's a lover and he took care of master. And it's definitely some kind of language. But it's interesting that the Secret Diary of Laura Palmer kind of talked about prostitution, where I don't remember anywhere else in the show. Maybe this point forward, maybe we'll get into it. But it's like Josie is a very complicated character. I mean, yeah.
I mean, they just made her to a shopaholic in the beginning. Like, you didn't know nothing about her.
Right.
Except she bought things.
Seemed like she had trouble with the language sometimes, and she mess up how she said things. And maybe she would put fish in the percolator. There was a fish in the percolator.
Yeah. So after this, I jumped in my notes, but we go more into the Ernie, and
I don't think we really. I don't think
it's nothing much. Right. I mean, basically, they're trying to cover themselves up because they were at the
One-Eyed Jack's,
right. And they're like lying.
Of course, Norma doesn't want to see him. I mean, her mother's left. Ernie should leave with them. Like, why are you still here? I don't want to see you. I didn't want to see my mom.
And he comes with this BS story. But yeah, we can. The next scene after this is the mult there will be
one other thing I'll have to say, and if I get my notes here together. So Norma was talking to Ernie, and then Norma goes and sees Roger, FBI agent Roger Hardy, and that is he's the one that's doing the investigation on Cooper. Well, and realizes, the actor's name is Clarence Williams III, and he was on this TV show called The Mob Squad. And The Mob Squad also had an actress named Peggy Lipton, who is Norma on the show. So it's kind of a wink. It's a wink. And I mean, I think I said this with Joel. I felt like it was Joel or somebody. I felt like they don't do that as much in the second season, where they go like winks to TV shows and movies. But I thought it was. You're right. I mean, actually, it's the next scene after the Nikki. But I still thought I'd just bring that up. That you have this kind of exchange between the two actors that were in a popular TV show together.
Yeah.
So you have the little Nikki having a malt and
blows the whipped cream on Dick.
Yeah.
And then Andy falls off the bench, and I like how he's like Uncle Dick. Like Andy's saying, they keep like Uncle Dick. I don't know. It's just kind of funny. They're like the Three Stooges, and he spins his chair. He spins it. What is he like in the Incredible Hulk? He spins the chair and it flies him right off.
Right. It's silly. It's
just kind of slapstick, kind of funny.
Sorry, Uncle Andy.
Yeah.
Like, how the heck did we get all these three together and stuff? Like, how did it become this?
All because of Lucy's gone.
All
because Lucy's helping with the wedding.
And we have James fixing the car.
Yeah, I mean, this is the whole. Her husband's gone for some strange reason. He's
out of town. He's got business.
He's got business, but she's like, you can tell she's bored. She's a bored housewife.
Yeah.
And she's basically using James as some sort of toy, and basically invites him to stay the night. Right. You can stay in the spare room while you're fixing this car.
You're doing me a favor, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just so like, they just stare off into outer space, doing their little monologues to each other. Because James gets up and he walks towards the camera. and he does this little monologue, and she does, like, they're kind of meant for each other.
Yeah,
they're like these two boring characters.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No offense to James or anything, but it's kind of like he's turned into this like.
Want to bring it up the auto just for fun?
One-dimensional person.
Roll on the throttle and just rocket blind into the dark.
While my cool music's playing in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that he's just looking into space, going to the camera, and
and she's intrigued by his mysteryness. I think he comes off as this mystery kid.
Yeah, you've seen some things, haven't you?
Yeah, you've seen some things. You're only 18, but you've seen so much, and yeah, it's kind of the weak part of the show right now.
Yeah,
I think, unless he has a knife fight with the husband, I don't think it's really gonna get any better than this.
So then we move to Benjamin Horne's office, and he's watching home movies. And I think he's watching his dad actually lay ground. I mean, for the Great Northern Hotel.
Yeah. And Ben Horne, this is the first time we actually get to see him.
Oh, and there's
him and
him and his brother Jerry there, and they're making faces in the camera, and that's. I mean, so it's again people reflecting, kind of thinking about their lives, and he's lost everything. Well, he's lost. I mean, he seems like he's been, he's lost a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably lost his dignity. He's probably not well respected as much now that he was, brought to jail for the murder. I mean, he was he's no longer, suspect. Yeah. But I think a lot of things have come out about who he is as a character.
The whole having sex with Laura.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, the one-eyed Jack's place, and there's a few things like that.
His own daughter. His own daughter doesn't have respect for him anymore.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the big thing, he lost the estate that he had to sell that. So this is something he's been working on for months to get. I mean, for a long time.
Scheming. With Kathleen Catherine, and Catherine's not with him anymore.
Right.
Because they were together.
So somebody turns off the projector, and it is Hank. Hank has made an appearance. And I think Hank is basically saying, you're out. Oh, actually, the projector goes off on its own, but...
Yeah, basically saying that Renault is running Jax. And he's just like, what? It was kind of like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
But
it's funny to go... I mean, it was funny. I think you had brought up in the past about how, like, what is next scheme is Ben going to do? But he really is destroyed. I mean, he's destroyed. And, like, basically, he's not the... I
was going to say that my theory on that blew out of the water with this scene.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not Ben Horne. He's not not scheming.
Yeah.
He's just depressed.
Right.
So, yeah.
And people are taking advantage of that. I mean, basically they're saying you're not in charge of this stuff anymore.
And then he starts, it was interesting. Ben starts talking about redoing his room. And I'm like, he's talking about feng shui.
Yeah.
Feng shui.
Right.
Like you design a room to flow, to make a positive energy in your room to flow. It's called feng shui.
Yeah.
And it's basically what he's talking about. And he's like, help me move my desk.
Yeah.
Like, he's like a brand new, like he just wants to start over almost.
Right. Totally. Want to bring up some audio?
Sure.
A real business enhancer. On top of which, my trusted solicitor, the late Leland Palmer, turns out to be a homicidal lunatic.
Tough week, Ben.
Do you think the furniture in this room is adequately arranged? I have been toying with the notion that if one could find the perfect arrangement of all objects in any particular space, it could create a resonance, the benefits from which to the individual dwelling in that space could be...
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's sort of like he's in a funk. So if he brings positive energy into his life, he could get himself out of it.
Right.
And becomes like a new person.
Yeah.
Start fresh.
I had a friend in college who, like, I didn't even always knew it was him, that, like, he would rearrange chairs, but he would stack them on top of each other. And, like, you'd get up, wake up. This is in college. So I'd wake up in the morning, and all of a sudden there was, like, chairs on top of chairs. But he was an artist, and he had a whole design to it. And it was always really, you never knew what to expect. It's like, what is going on here? So you're out, Ben.
Yeah, he's basically finding that Renault was taken over.
Yeah.
But does he tell him everything? Oh, well, he tells him he doesn't work for him anymore.
Right.
And he doesn't say. I don't think he tells him the whole Cooper plan with the cocaine.
No, I don't think he has any need for that. And so it's funny. Like, so he loses Leo because Leo is now. A vegetable, and now he's kind of losing Hank, and so all his kind of henchmen, all his like people are like kind of deserting him. And who knows where's Jerry? I mean, like, so Jerry was kind of there for him when they arrested him, but it seems like Jerry's taken off too.
Yeah,
and stuff.
But he does give Hank a little thing saying that Renault is crazy and that he's got to watch out.
Yeah,
he's Satan. He's like a snake in clothing. He's deceitful, and he could turn on Hank. He turned on Blackie.
Right.
He could turn on anybody.
True.
So he needs to realize what he's.
And then Hank physically actually handles Ben, and I think that's when he finally realizes it's over and stuff. But
yeah, but I think he's giving him good advice.
Right. Yeah, let's bring up the auto one more time here.
Ben.
So
you're out. Ben, you're out.
So this is all ad-libbed and stuff. Like, this was not part of the script. This is something that the actor decided to do, where it was like, I think it ended with him getting like with Hank just walking out, and then the actor basically says, "You're out," and he kind of got like that kind of crazy laugh and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but I kind of like it, and I think the actor really thought that was one of his best performances in some ways, that he was able to ad-lib and kind of do something with the character.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of Leland when you saw Leland going crazy.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I kind of, part of me was like, did Bob go and Ben? You know what I'm saying? Sort of like mocking. And, but his voice gets deeper.
Right.
And it was just interesting. I'm like, oh, you know.
So he gets a tape, and it's not from Diane, or it's not a Diane tape.
Not a Diane tape. Right. It is a ex-partner tape.
Wyndham Earl. Wyndham Earl sends him a tape and basically says, the game is on here. It's time to play chess. And
so not only is Cooper's career going down the tubes, now you have his ex-partner who's like wanting to start something with him.
Right. A classical confrontation.
But I don't get it, because the woman died. Why did his partner go crazy?
Right. We don't know all the... I mean, we're going to learn. It's going to be a gradual thing that we'll learn what's going on here. But
so he has it out for Cooper.
Yeah.
We just have to figure out why.
Right.
Huh? But it sounds sinister. I mean, I can bring up some audio.
Yeah.
To attack. You with your wounds, I with mine. Let me paint you a picture. My knights will skirmish. Lanes of power and influence will open to my bishops and rooks. Pawns will naturally be forfeit. I'm even prepared to sacrifice my queen, because I assure you, dear Dale, my goal will be attained at any cost. The king must die.
The king must die.
And he's willing to sacrifice the queen.
Mm-hmm. He's willing to sacrifice the queen. The king must die.
Yeah. So I think there might be some audio, some Diane recording, but the script has a lot of like Diane. Like he basically talking about Major Briggs, and he's talking about Wyndham Earl, and I don't know if I want to read the whole thing, but I can read a little bit.
Sure.
So Cooper says to Diane, "What's become of Major Briggs? What is the true significance of the White and Black Lodge? Has Major, clearly a man of no small spiritual advancement, perhaps been attempting to make contact with some element of these pieces in his top secret work?" And so, I mean, we kind of talked about that, I think, a little bit. Could this be related to his work? I don't know if I want to get into anything else. He does go into Wyndham Earl, and he has to say...
Wyndham Earl's voice sounds like the voice that comes on during those phone call things.
Oh yeah,
the mystery voice,
the mystery right from the sheriff station hotline.
Yeah, he sounds like Wyndham Earl. It could be Wyndham Earl.
Yeah, I don't know if I can read any more, but it's interesting. He kind of goes back into and talks a little bit more about that. And it's always unfortunate. I always enjoy the Diane stuff that he talks about, and you get to learn a little bit other things that he's interested in and stuff. But
yeah, and I miss the Diane tapes. The Diane, we haven't had much of Diane. I'll
just say he ends it with saying that he wonders if perhaps the question I now seek answers to lie beyond the old he basically is saying beyond my life as the Bureau. So he ends his Diane basically saying he's wondering if what he's searching for now isn't have to do with FBI, but maybe other things in his life. So again, I mean, I guess we keep going back to what is Cooper supposed to be doing now and stuff. Mm-hmm. But
even he doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
But yeah, the mystery surrounds his future of what he wants to do.
And there's a wedding going on, and we see the pastor, which we haven't seen since the funeral of Laura Palmer.
Oh, that's him?
Yeah, it's the same guy.
And the town's there, and
the whole town's hanging out. So we had the day before we had a funeral, and today we have a wedding.
And he's getting married to this young girl, and the brother's like,
you're a gold digger,
and this guy's been married, and she just wants his money, and blah blah blah.
Oh yeah.
He gets kicked out, or he leaves on his own, but.
Is this thing on? That's the pilot of the mic. And so my friend and I, when we first saw this, we used to always do that. It's like, is this thing on? Like old man and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know where they're going with this subplot. I mean, is their marriage going to become something in the show?
I don't think so. Or not really.
I don't think so. Not really.
No.
Yeah.
I know. The Diane recording they do use is, Diane, when you got a moment, remind me to tell you about Agent Bryson.
Yep.
Yeah, and I would love to know what that conversation was like. And then the next scene, we're at the reception, and Cooper does run into Denise.
And what we talked about is what they talk about.
Yeah. That she's going
to help Cooper.
Yeah, which is cool. It's really cool.
So, I mean, that's basically the gist of their conversation. And then also talking about how one day he would go undercover just as a female and liked it.
Yeah. And then we have the log lady, which I haven't seen in a while. The log lady and...
Yeah, I just love Milford weddings.
Yes.
So that makes it funny that there's been multiple Milford weddings.
There's been 5 weddings, and this is... Yeah, very cool stuff. And I think, what is it? A little bit, does Denise... dance with Andy, I think. Is that in this episode?
Yes, they dance. And Andy looks goofy and happy. Like he's confused. Should I enjoy this dance? I don't know. But I'm funny. Andy, and I don't know.
So what else do we have? So we have the dancing, and then we have...
Josie asked Catherine for help.
And to protect her against... Edgard, I believe. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and this was interesting.
You'd help kill
my brother.
Right.
And
right. So I mean, and then what we're going to discover?
Oh, yeah, I remember this now.
Yes. We learned that the episode ends with we actually learned that Andrew is not dead.
Yep.
Hank is a terrible murderer.
Yes, he's not very good.
He can't kill Leo with a gun. So Andrew's still alive.
Yep, and they're scheming together. The brother and are going after Eckhart. They want to use her to get Eckhart to come to them. Right? Yeah. And it's sort of like the episode of Seinfeld where the fact they're like, well, you have to become my maid. Yeah. And it's like the episode of Seinfeld when they get the pilot to do a show, it's the guy they get in a car accident and he has to become their butler. That's what it reminded me of. I'm like, you have to be my maid now. You have to do everything.
Right.
And I want breakfast in bed.
Yeah. And then it's interesting. The credits is the family film of Benjamin Horne. It ends with credits because usually our credits are still usually Laura Palmer's picture in the
last 2 episodes haven't. Last episode wasn't Laura Palmer either.
I don't remember. I didn't make a note of that.
It was. I forget what it was, but it was not Laura Palmer.
Okay.
Laura Palmer has disappeared from the ending of the credits.
I think she'll come back. I think she does return to the credits.
Oh, no, don't tell me. Matt, another person who looks like Laura comes back.
No, I won't tell you that, but I did say that was a thought for season 3, that they would have a redhead, she'd play a redhead and stuff.
She's going to come back for the new show.
Really? How would she come back?
Another cousin we didn't know about?
There you go. Something, right?
I don't know.
I think, some way, somehow, I think it's cool to have Laura Palmer in the series. In some way.
The show was founded on Laura Palmer.
Right.
So.
And there's still mysteries to discover.
Yeah, and it's so weird
we don't
because
have all the answers.
We're not talking about Laura Palmer anymore, and it's like we talked about her so much. Now that she's gone, the show feels kind of empty without her.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I know it's a tricky juggling act. I mean, how do you solve a mystery and then still kind of make you feel like that everything we've talked about in the past can still be part of the show? I mean,
I think it's the town folks, like you say before. It's the town folks to add to the mysteries of just the town.
Right.
It was the mystery, the White Lodge, the Black Lodge. What's the mystery of the owls, the log lady, Major Briggs disappearing.
Right.
So we've added all these cool mysteries because we don't have that one big mystery anymore. We have multiple mysteries.
Yeah.
It's a lot of mysteries.
Which is, it's heading in a direction, and we'll have to see where it goes.
We need Scooby-Doo on the case.
Scooby-Doo. So that's it. That's episode 18.
Yeah. It wasn't a lot on this. The last episode had a lot more. This one, had kernels of the beginning of something.
Yep.
Just giving you.
And to me, it's still the best that what Hawk had to say about. That
was my favorite part of the whole episode.
Too. Oh, definitely, for sure. Well, all right then. Well, we should say, how can you reach us? How can you contact us if you want to tell us about the show? Talk
on the Twitter, the Twitter sphere.
The Twitter.
We got a lot of folks on the Twitter. We thank you for everybody who's retweeted. We thank everybody who's favored. We thank everybody who has followed us on Twitter at Twin Peaks Unwrapped. And then you can find us on Facebook, Twin Peaks Unwrapped. You can like us. We're getting more people on there. I'm sharing more on boards. And you can email us at twinpeaksunwrapped@gmail.com.
And did you say iTunes? You can leave a review.
Review and rate us, please.
Yes.
Let's get the iTunes. Let's get everybody who listens to us. If you listen to us on iTunes, rate us and leave a review if you can. And let's get the show in the top 50 in the arts and film, the TV and film section.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
let's
go
something.
For it.
Why not? So I think we'll leave off with. I think this was in the second season DVD set. David Duchovny talks a little bit about his character, and I thought it'd be fun to just end the show off with that.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear this.
Cool.
I'd never been in drag, and I thought, well, Jesus, how am I going to do that? I just kind of showed up on set. They nared my legs. I got put in a big dress, and we tried on wigs, and they slathered on, this white makeup over which they put, a skin tone, and it was just. Then I showed up on set. I think that when I auditioned very differently because I must have auditioned much more stereotypically effeminate. And then when I put on all this makeup and everything, it became clear to me that less was more, that the presentation would be funnier if I didn't push it so hard. So then just kind of